Hey, what's going on, y'all? Back with another one. Back with another one. This is the Daily Hump Dump, the 57th edition. And yes, this is a interesting stream. We talk about a lot. Man, NBA free agency is crazy. I've been watching Woodward Sports for a minute. Um, it's been a great time. Great time. Lot to talk about. Shouts out to Woodward Sports in Detroit. Love y'all guys, man. Y'all unbelievable, man. I mean, this shit is wild, bro. And they have some entertainment stuff. I watch them like every um, week. I can't watch them when I'm live streaming, but you know what I'm saying. But they've been entertaining this off season, and I've been subscribed to them, Detroit News and all that, and I've been watching the Pistons for a minute. I got some people in Detroit, but you know what I'm saying. I my aunt. That's it mainly. But outside of that, I always grew up liking the Pistons, even though I grew up seeing the Bulls and years ago. I have a lot of teams. I told y'all that before, but the Pistons are one of my favorite Eastern Conference teams. Always have been since the days when they won that championship in '04. But I've been rocking with them since '94 when they had Grant Hill. That was one of my favorite teams to watch in the East. They were fun to watch at the time, but I still support them. They're a great franchise that started it all. And of course they had, Jordan was the future. The league had to push Jordan. You know how that goes. But yeah, we had some good draft picks. I talked about the draft a little bit. I talked about Abuko Okori. I talked about Anisie, like from a trade. He was drafted by Houston, but traded to us. It was a lot of good trades. It's a lot of good moments. You know what I'm saying? Like it's been going on for a minute. So a lot to unpack. Marcellus Wilde with his wife. I think I mentioned that last week. It's no need. Everything's a disaster. Then you got Gil's Arena, his ass. He's out of there. He's got a court date in November for that gambling stuff. Gambling has ruined sports, and I think it's being regulated right now. But Trump's up out of there. There's no future for him. So I'm not gonna get into old boy over there. That's what we call him over here. But fuck him. But the whole purpose of sports, ESPN. I just found out they own 10% of the profits of. I mean, not ESPN. In the excuse me, I meant to say the NFL owes 10% of the ESPN's license, their partnership, right? But they mainly, they talk about the main things that these deals, and then it's going to be just straight sports. And they try to say they trying to take politics out of sports. Well, it's too late. What's the point of you saying there ain't no politics, but y'all keep talking about it? You know what I'm saying? It's the hypocrisy of ESPN. And yes, they fired Ryan Clark. I thought that was very interesting. And I thought that was going to keep his ass. He keep apologizing, but I'm glad they kind of fired him in a way. You got your own show, The Pivot, and all these podcasts. Like I said, these sports networks is going under because of money, financial trouble, probably the economy, and basically the gambling shit. So they're scared to suspend Balmer because he is popular. I try to tell people he's a Microsoft guy. He is. There's nothing going to happen to him. He'll get a light punishment and that's it, and they're gonna move on. And a lot of owners are scared he'll expose the things what they've been doing underhand and under the table. That's why they're trying to keep this thing a hush hush. So it's painful to see what's going on, and that's what you're gonna look at, and that's how I look at things. So yeah, but the main thing to worry is what you're gonna do in the future. This online stuff is just like we said this before. We said this again. We said this was it about 4 or 5 years ago. I think it's about what, not 4 years ago, right? Because 4 years ago was 2021 last year, right? Now it's 5 years ago. If you want to count, how many years will we say? Because in 2021, I keep reiterating that year that was stuck in the pandemic. We talked about this years ago, and everything is coming to fruition. What we said over here on this platform, on my platform, and I talk about 2021 subtract to now. Yeah, 5 years ago. It's gonna be 6 years next year. Cause see, yeah, man, it's been a time. We talk about automation, jobs, and shit like that. That's gonna affect people. You know, the sports world's dealing with it. Everybody's dealing with it. They just, people got to move different, especially on here. YouTube has been fair the last couple of years because since oh boy got in, it's just it ain't been the same. It's a lot of BS. See, we're in the era of prisoner of the moment. So when people's prisoner of the moment, they're suckers in real life. But the sports world has very changed. So the last championships we saw in the NBA is different champions. It all came from 2020. I mean 2019, and I'll never forget the Raptors one. That's a great story. 2021 was a joke. I mean 2020 and 2021, those 2 years. I think when the Lakers won that bubble, and then the next year the Bucks won, those were joke championships. No dynasties at all. But it all started with the Kawhi trade to Toronto. That's what ruined everything. And that's why players mess themselves with the players and with the money, and everybody's taking pay cuts. It's ridiculous. But it goes to show you the NBA. I'm not blaming Adam Silver for this. He did this on purpose to ruin it. So now you got a shit sports league. Baseball, I'm going to talk about that a little bit. Why it's not popular? Well, it's not the parenting in regions. I think people just don't have the interest of baseball. You got to love the fucking sport. If you're young and if you're like, I'll break this down. We're going to talk about 8-year-olds when you're 8, right? See, if you started baseball when you're 3 to 7 years old, we understand. But if your child is like, what, 8, going, let's just say 8 to 12, that span, they'll lose disinterest in baseball now than I see before. You don't see kids with mittens no more. When I was growing up, everybody had baseball mittens. But we're going to talk about the next couple of minutes or hours. And, because we were talking about all sports in general, but the MLB's minor leagues should be advertised right. Like we see in today's like NBA and then plus MLS and plus the World Cup, like FIFA. FIFA's a joke, by the way. But I'm glad Spain won. I was going for Spain, but I say fuck Argentina. I ain't caring about them fools over there. They don't deserve that because they got old boy over there try to be like LBJ. I don't like that shit. But we're going to talk about the Sixers fiasco later on in the stream. What I think about the Sixers. Yes, they're the agenda team against the Lakers. A lot of people say Lakers ain't gonna make it to finals. I disagree. It's an agenda. They're gonna push these teams to the finals and the playoffs. Now, regular season, they'll do well. They're not gonna be trash, I'll tell you that. Because everybody got better. All these moves that y'all seeing are moves that are gonna be this is the last time you're gonna see it this off season. Next off season, ain't nobody moving like that unless they want to be traded. Because the all season will probably be dead next year. We'll see. It's a lot of movements, a lot of trades, a lot of things coming, and it's not really over technically because we're still in July. Because August is really off season. It's going to continue, and then they get into camp until September. So, basketball will be right around the corner. You know what I mean? So the New York Knicks, their coverage. A lot of people said everybody's covering the Knicks. No, they not. They just cover LeBron James every 24/7. Where is he gonna go? Where are you gonna? He done ruined everything. Once he with the Lakers, he took all the air from them. And now he's with the Sixers. I'll explain that. It's similar to LA. He's taking that air out of that. They own all the national televised media coverages over the New York Knicks in their division, the Atlantic Division. What a joke, man, of a championship. They're victims of this um, problem that Adam Silver did. And that's why he was begging LeBron to sign somewhere. So he's using Philly. It's a damn shame, bro. But we'll talk about that later in the stream. Probably like an hour in the stream. So let's get right to it. Things changing. This is how many minutes we got? About 9 minutes in the stream. Okay. We'll we'll get to baseball in a minute. Well, sports has changed a whole lot. I mean, I've been watching it for the last couple of years and things like that. Even after the pandemic, it's just a mess. It's a lot of rule changes, legislation changes because gambling has ruined everything. And then these gambling networks are collapsing right now this year because they wasn't making no money off of things. So we're going to get into the baseball aspect, why young players, young boys don't want to do baseball anymore because they got other interests in more, no matter what race. But black people, they want to talk about us, particularly. Well, black folks don't care for baseball like that. I mean, that was a time in the 90s. We're going to get into that. Um, it was a period. I saw this on the Odd Couples podcast with Kelvin, Rob Parker. I was listening, and he had a guest on there that was bald head. I forget his name, and then Kelvin interviewed him. But Kelvin has to understand, baseball's a different sport. It's not for everybody. Those sports, you got to care about it enough to be the guy, and it's not easy what it used to be. You know what I mean? Now everybody's going, oh, let's go to the ballpark and get a baseball in the mitten. It ain't the 90s, it ain't the Sandlot no more. No, this is street ball done ruined that. And I'll explain why it ruined, in between the minutes. But I'm just saying sports has changed a lot. It's a finesse culture. We're in a utilitarian culture, aka prisoner of the moment culture, because it has that utility mindset. So I got a lot of narcissistic people today just want things quick, same old bullshit, repetitive shit. But this is why people stop fucking watching sports because of that mentality. Most human beings are nihilists. They like destructive things. They like to have fun and up and down, fast pace, slow down pace, whatever pace it is. It's destructive all the time. So because sports supposed to be physical and rough and explosive every now and then, fun. But that's been taken away by finesse soft shit. And some sports ain't meant to be soft. I'm just speaking from observation, what I've seen and research. It's a damn shame. And techniques is bad too in training. It's not like what it was in the old days. And you expect people to just talk about what real sports is because you got these analysts and podcasters forget they never played a sport in a day in their life like I have. I've played for so many years. Last time I played ball was back when I was like, 27 years old. And that's back 2015. That's decades ago. That's about 11, almost 11, 12 years. Ain't touched a rock since then. I mean, I touched a basketball recently, but I don't count. I'm talking about actually touching it and using it to go to the rim. It's been a minute. I'm probably out of shape right now, but I'm in shape, but I'm out of shape in ball sense, like, playing athletically. So that's a whole other story on that. But yeah, it's crazy. It's fucking crazy why sports is the way it is. But let's talk about the MLB culture and baseball culture. When I was growing up in the 90s, I was born in the 80s. I think I mentioned y'all how my age is, right? Our era and people before us and my dad's era, baseball was a thing. I don't know if y'all know, like, if you was born in our era and then before, y'all know baseball was a different era. Yeah, racism, all that, Jackie Robinson, all that, and pre, and then you got the Negro Leagues. I knew about that shit since I was young and probably the early 2000s. But when I was growing up, the Negro Leagues was something. Baseball was baseball back then. Baseball had great history. All the great players played. But if you watch them, you watched them. But when I got younger, I got into baseball real early. I've been a Braves fan for a long time since the 90s, man. Like since way back. I've been loving baseball since then. Yes, I love Greg Maddux, Chipper Jones, you name it. It's a whole nother. So I'm originally from another state, but migrated here, migrated from where I'm originally from and moved down here since '07. I got stories. I've been to the old Turner Field, I believe in the 90s when I was young, visiting, city of Atlanta. And then the second time I was living here, it was at I believe it was 2010 or 2011. They was playing the Mets at the time. I believe it was 2010 or 2011, one of them years. And that's the last time I've been to that old Turner Field. And now they in this new arena, new field. I done been there twice already as Braves. One was when I was working in the dealership, and the second time I was in a different area. I think it was 2019. I went back and it was fun as usual. Atlanta was something else, and it was in Cobb, I believe, in this Cobb Arena and all where we was walking. We went, but it was fun. So it's like it was fun times. But yeah, man, it was a hell of a time. But that was a good time. That 2019 was something else. I enjoyed that game. Went to the baseball game and enjoyed it. Got used to it. And it's been a minute. It's been a minute since I've been in um the Cobb thing. So that's a whole nother story on that. And yeah, the Braves was decent at that time. It's like when it was really good and then they won a World Series and a couple years back. So, the Tigers, they trying to get in the playoffs. Last time they was in the playoffs was like what, 2 years ago? And they're doing good. They trying to get rid of Scooble and things like that. But that's a whole nother story. I haven't kept up baseball in a minute, player wise. I used to like King Griffey and all them guys, Barnes. I mean Bonds, excuse me, Barry Bonds, and those are my guys. I had a combination of other players I like too. Pitchers, outfielders. And it was one of my second favorite sports growing up, man. Like baseball was it. And baseball, it lost its edge. I'll tell you when it lost its edge. It actually lost its edge. If you talk about developing young players, it lost its edge during the N1 era. I mean, baseball was it popular in the 2000s? Absolutely. It was popular all over, but it lost its edge and appeal for young boys since the street ball era. And the street ball era kind of dominated the young person, little kid market. AAU ruined everything. Break that down. That's part of it. And they try to mimic the street players years ago, and it's been a disaster since then. This is why you don't see a lot of young players play baseball, because they inundated with this bullshit basketball, like the LeBron era nonsense. That's what's ruining the young men, why they're not playing baseball. Yeah, half of it's regional, half of all that. A lot of, to me, that regional argument is bullshit. That's just the parents just don't fuck with the sport. And that's a you problem half of the time. Sometimes you don't need your family. You need other people to support you. And then especially if you play for a school, especially baseball. Baseball is a different beast. You get used to it, start loving it, people start fucking with you. Then you get respect. It's like bragging rights in an organized union. They don't have salary caps, I don't believe, in Major League Baseball, but it's a tough era as a pro. And if you've done the minor leagues for a few years, they know who you are and you are fantastic, cool. But if you want to be a superstar in baseball, be like the autonomy, these foreign players, they're invested. Poor countries, the reason why they built the culture of. So I blame combination of the league and a combination of the people that's putting bullshit to our young American players that baseball is injured. There's a lot of guys ain't gonna make the basketball team or football team. What about baseball? You be athletic and use your skills, eye coordination, you'll be the guy. So right. So baseball had its day. Let's just keep it real. Most people like what you would call soccer, but other countries they call it football. That's how they say it, right? Football. Or in Americas, we call it soccer over here, which is how stubborn what Sean was saying on Woodward Sports. And I heard what he said, and he absolutely was right. Everybody is stubborn about what we call soccer. It's popular overseas outside of basketball. Them two are the popular ones. Like I said, baseball has a hard time selling it to younger people. Older people like us that are above, that's their market. Outside of that market, they're just in a one-dimensional lane. But you gotta understand, the NBL, Major League Baseball, hurt itself alienating guys like Barnes in the steroid era, and that's why people just scoff at it now. They just don't like baseball in general, and that just breaks down how sorry the world is. But I notice that's going to be a thing, and it will always going to be a thing. And then when you look at it, it's just like, what the hell is going on here? Because when the young players they expect competition, they have competition. You join the minor leagues, cool, but they have to understand at that time, baseball had its presence. I would say the biggest presence was in the 90s. The early 2000s, not so much. I mean, you had guys playing baseball in high school, yeah, but I asked them if they ever thought about making pro, and they said, hell no, I'm just going to stay in the minor leagues for some years and not go pro, which is insane, by the way. That's a form of amateurism and NILs and shit. So, in a nutshell, people adjust to the new norms, right? So it's basically you're stuck in a rut. Now, if you're a young person, if you're like 18 to 24 and you're listening to me right now, skywatch me, I want y'all to know it's okay to try baseball. Okay. Don't let no one tell you any different. Trust me. I know some people that played it for so many years, and baseball station is common down here in GA. And I'm originally from Tennessee, and I can tell you, baseball's not a bad sport. You just got to get your bones, make it. You don't have to go professional, but I'm just saying, but the interest is there as ever before. It's in a low percentage. When I heard Kelvin from Odd Couple with Ron Parker, right? And he was out that day, and the other guy was telling him about baseball, and there's so much out there. But you gotta understand, baseball isn't a time limited sport, and that's just the way it is, man. And it takes time and effort and care about the sport. Now, it's a lot of factors why people don't do it. Is because you gotta have pure dedication in it. And I think when you stick to baseball long term, you see the success. Now, do we know who Tarek Skubal was? No. He probably played some in the minors. We don't know because developing talent in baseball is complicated. Okay. And he's on a team that ain't won since '84. And that's just how I look at it. And people just got to look at the facts that this stuff happens all the time. You know, I'm not saying minor leagues are not important, but I think they are important, but it's got to have promotion if they're exciting enough. And that's just the problem with people. They pronounce his name as Tarek Daniel Skubal, but his real name it should be called Tariq Skubal. But even though he was born, oh, he's a Gen Z. I wouldn't say he's one of us. He's probably Gen Z because he's born in '96. He's borderline Gen Z. That's all I'm gonna say. And they try to say '95 is not Gen Z, but actually they are Gen Z. All of them are Gen Z. They're old Gen Z. Young Gen Z is lower than that. You know, he was born in California in Hayward. Okay, okay, that makes sense. He is a paternal Czech descent. He has three brothers and one stepbrother. He's a paternal Czech descent. Okay, he's got Czech Republic in him. Oh, that's why his name is known as uh, Turk Daniel Skubal. He has a Czech name. It makes sense. He has an Eastern European background. Makes sense. And he plays baseball. Throwing left, basic right. He has so many strikeouts. 999 strikeouts. Amazing. Two-time All-Star. Cy Young Award. And I'm just looking at his career. He was in the MLB draft 2018. He was ninth round, 255th overall selection. So this is what it is. So he's been first team. Okay. I'm just looking at all his stats. No minor leagues. Yes, baseball's a little different. Some went to the minor leagues, some didn't. It's a little different. But I'm just looking at people like him and others. Is it goes to show you what baseball is really about. It's a tough sport to dictate like the NBA and other sports like NFL, and these contracts are a little different. So it's a different beast now. And that's what you see now. But yeah, it was going to shade salute. But yeah, baseball, it had its moments. It had its moments. And I just want to talk about it so much because one, the odd couple, Kelvin, right? That's with Rob Parker. He was talking to this guy. I forget his name, the ball headed dude. He did an interview with him why young players don't do baseball no more. And the reason being is a combination of two things. I think it's the support, not just he was talking about black players particular. The problem is here's the problem with it. It's the interest. You gotta understand football, everybody plays football when they're young. But deep down, football is bullshit. No one makes it the NFL, and no one gives a damn about the NFL. Let's just keep it real. It's not a great league. Let's just keep it real. They try to be like the NBA. and they should not follow the NBA's gambling practices. They said they care about player. NFL cares about team. They don't. No one gives a fuck about the teams or the owners. But no one has the balls to say that. That's why the NFL is garbage. Is it a good product? Yeah, Super Bowl. But is the NFL a great league? Hell no. It needs to be regulated. And that's how I look at it. So when you look at baseball for particular, we have to care about it. You know what I'm saying? But yeah, you just had legendary black players. We talk about Jackie Robinson, we talk about Josh Gibson, the Negro Leagues. It was standard back then, but the world's changed. Media changed. They had to buy the players and put them on teams, and they have opportunity. That's why baseball is the way it is now. Baseball was fun to me back then. It ain't what it used to be now. You go to the points, you get to the points. But I think baseball had its run. Sure, you had basketball and all that. Is this what you see now? But I've been paying attention why people say baseball needs to be more entertaining like the other two sports, but it's having. They have to change the whole formula to market it right. The marketing part of baseball is bad. It's bad enough they're on Fox. They don't want to be on ESPN. They just want to have their own shit. And baseball has problems. All these contracts, all these mishaps, what you see from things like that. And then, we're gonna talk about Sixers in the next hour or two, and we're gonna get down to the business why I think they are an agenda team. Shots of Casino breaking it down, and they'll do anything they power to get that man a championship. And that's how I look at things right now. But when you look at baseball, it had its course. But you look at the things that you see uh, taking time. So, but when you think about it, the young players they just felt exhausted, and I just don't understand it. I just don't understand it. And I've been watching the Braylon Edwards show, and I think he's done an amazing job. And then you just find your way. But the matter of fact is, like, baseball is one of them sports you just got to really care and build your foundation, especially if you have a kid that's 8 to 12 years old, push him through it, but you don't have to push him to sports. It's his decision. But don't let him join the AAU trap. All of these dirty agents ruin his career, especially basketball and football. Just it's a failure. But it's up to kids to be individuals now, huh? But they scared to go outside and do the dirty work. And they've been programmed not to go outside and do those type of sports because baseball deals with a lot of field work, a lot of coordination. And that's why you got to be careful investing in baseball too much. Yeah, it's expensive, but you have to make a good investment. You invest in baseball. And so we have to be mindful of that. And that's what I'm saying. But but the one thing about me, I look at these things as practical as I can. But when you're talking about the days of not knowing what your next time is in sports, everybody's gone and they quit playing. But baseball is one of them sports is like we enjoyed it. And I was just getting my thoughts together where I was about to say when I saw that episode of the Odd Couple, I'm subscribed to it now. They got a good show. They say it's a bunch of BS with the LeBron stuff. We'll talk about that in an hour or two, when it gets to the hour mark, and then we'll talk about the Sixers and things like that. But my thing is with baseball, right? I know a lot of people say it's a boring sport. Most people can think that true. But here's the problem with that. Baseball, you have to care. Like I said, if it ain't for you, it ain't for you. But people like me, I love competition. I love home runs. That's the secret of baseball. And sometimes a little excitement, the pitching. The pitching makes it look boring, but it's really not. It's how you get them out and all this stuff. There's a little excitement in baseball. It's a patient man's sport. It's not for everybody. And you don't see kids with mitts today and bats and balls and shit. Yeah, you can buy a baseball bat for cheap or a baseball, but it can be an investment. Now, the gear wise, you talking about the baseball gear, the hats and the clothing, yeah, that's probably expensive. And the cleats, that's a whole nother beast. Now, if you want to go to the minor leagues, yeah, minor league baseball, they do exist in some fashion. But the Major League Baseball is a different thing. It's a different beast. A little advertisement there and there, but they got to be treated well. And I'm just looking at it like y'all gotta have that interest in your heart. And that's how I look at baseball. And you have to have that enthusiasm to care. You know what I mean? So when you look at baseball, like, and that's all I was, and we're talking about it like almost like to the hour because we're in the realm of sports. That's why I've been paying attention lately, not looking at politics as much because politics has been on some bullshit. I don't even want to talk about dude in the White House now. Half of the team, I think half of the Dodgers, they went to see old boy, and the other half, like Mookie Betts and all them, don't fuck with dude like that. I don't blame them. And shouts out to those guys that didn't go. That just shows you that they're divided to this fool. I told you, everybody don't like dude, bro. Like he needs to get over the fact they just, and this is what's wrong today. This is a utilitarian society. It's always have been. It's just he just made it worse because everybody's in a prison of the moment talking about the meat, the human meat, and I'm putting respect on these hoes out here, but outside of that, no one cares. And now you got people lying on people in court. It's just insane. But I understand both sides. And marriage is dead, man. Marriage has been dead for years. A sexless marriage is common. They say if you get married, you get less pussy, they say, right? Which is true. Ask any married man. You get married, you get less pussy. And I mean, what's going on, Khalil Salute? And there's some truth behind that. And they want to catch attitude. They say, you don't own me. Nah, that's what it says on the fucking dotted line. You're mine. You know what I'm saying? That's why I married you. I signed the paperwork. I signed the contract and the paperwork. That's really what it is. If you look at marriage, and then most dudes that don't want to get married, I don't blame them. If I can't have it, fuck it. I'm not doing that bullshit. And that's why it's collapsing as we've seen. It's successful. No, it's collapsing. It's trash. People say fuck that paperwork. That paperwork divides a lot of people. I hope y'all know that, right? Because when it divides people, you get this stuff all the time. See, in sports and business, it happens all the time, but marriage is one of them. And it's one of the things that people just don't fuck with long term, especially black men. They figured it out. The ones that know better, the ones that's older, know better. They ain't getting married. Fuck out of here. Now, if you're young and young people get more married, they're stupid. They don't know that The intercourse and all that stress level goes down in marriage in the beginning of marriage. A lot of people try to say it's during the marriage and after. No, it starts beginning. If she's trying to put off and then she done messed around before you, it could be anything before you or not. If she haven't done it and she had thoughts of doing it, and I'm talking about our era, that's where that shit changed. Pre that, it was decent. See, people need to stop living in the fucking 18th century 19th century bullshit marriage concepts that has a utilitarian mindset. That don't exist anymore. That shit died. To be honest with you, it died somewhere after the 20th century. Let's just keep it real. Because the 90s, yeah, they was messing around and you got dealt with. The rest of the 90s, yeah, 80s, yeah, but it wasn't as prevalent. You know what I mean? But in this century, this is very common. Everybody's promoting open relationships and bullshit. What's the point of getting married? You know what I'm saying? Like, people are being promoted single now. The ones that know better, it's in a minority, but the majority of people want the marriage because of that money and that bullshit. It has nothing to do with those the ritual shit with the dress up. No, this has got a lot to do with money. And money like that, and that bullshit, that utilitarian concept comes from that. And this is why people have a prisoner of moment complex. So when you're utilitarian like this, I can't fuck with you. And you say some dumb shit and then it'll be a sexless marriage. Ain't nobody fucking with that. See, back then it was something. Okay. When I was growing up in the 90s, it was something. But did my parents have bad marriage? Yeah, in the 90s. They still married, but they separated. You know, I'm not gonna get into details with that. They've been like 40 years, like, oh, but who cares? But you're separated. You choose to go somewhere else. You know what I'm saying? Like, that part right there is why I'm not married, because one, it's some bullshit behind everything. I choose not to get married because it's a financial burden. Not just men and women, but people in general. People ain't fucking with that shit. Now, out of wedlock stuff, children, that's bad, but it's not about having kids anymore. People don't care about that. These dumbass people think, oh, you try to protect the children. Oh, no one gives a fuck about these kids, and they still don't now. It's over. That's why reproduction is low. People are tired, bro. They're tired of BS and they're tired of lies. Men are smarter now than ever because they realize it's a racket. If you want to have intercourse, do it before and just don't get married long term. That's why I always tell people. Just don't even, and my advice to young people, if you want to have, just have fun. Just don't get married. Because you get married, it's a racket. Like I said, what did my man Sino say? He said it best. He said, bills and no pussy. That's all I'm gonna say. Bills and no pussy. And the reason I say that about marriage is some truth about that. Because ask every married man, bills and more pussy. Not more pussy, no pussy. And I'll tell you why. Because they want to control every damn thing. Yeah, men do it too, but not as much as women. These females are why I like to call them. Because they not women. And they'll never, and I don't even want to use the word submissive. Submissive is dead. That shit died when I was young, bro. When I was in my 20s. There was a time in the era when we grew up, yeah. But when I was in my 20s, that shit started dying then. Y'all gotta understand, it's over. Y'all gotta look at like people that give up on marriage early years ago. You gotta understand that it was designed to destroy people. That's why people have these open relationships every day and they know they shit ain't perfect. You gotta understand that the world had died a long time ago. People chose to be ignorant. And this is why you see a lot of backwards ass marriages now. On X, Instagram, it's pathetic, bro. You can't just say that stuff don't bothers people, but it does. It bothers the hell out of people. And you gotta understand it's a death sentence. Everybody doesn't communicate well. They don't communicate well like that. People got bad communication skills. And that's part of marriage's fault. Yeah, and it takes two, but 9 out of 10, these females don't communicate you on the real. So it's been a wash since forever. No one gives a damn about these hoes. 95% of the hoes are on the internet anyway. And that's what you end up marrying. Like most of you dudes don't realize you're marrying these hoes on the internet. And that's the problem. I hate to say that about, but they ain't women out here. They think they are, but they really not. They out here whoring around. They don't care about you. And it's a racket. Hey, what's going on, APTV? Salute, salute. And it's a racket like that. And I've noticed when Cena was saying, and it's crazy. Hell, you got other content creators talking about it. And I said, man, but it's not as bad as people think. I mean, take your time and do your thing, whatever. It's just okay. And I ain't saying, young man, you don't have to get married. You don't have to listen to me. But I'm saying the ones that know better, you don't have to because it's a racket. Because the way people are and they divorce you, probably like I'll give you an example. If they divorce you 15 years, say if you're in a relationship, I've been in a relationship, so don't ask me how I know all this stuff. I've been in a relationship for some years. Uh, been one, my first one for like the 6 months, and then off and on with other people. And when you talk to people, you realize you don't want no long term relationship with them because they're gonna change regardless. People change over time when you get older because people got different priorities, and I get it. I get the concepts, but let's not act like that thing is not normal. Because when you get to a certain point of age and you want to peak at a certain momentum, these females will switch on you all the time because you don't know what they got. Because the prisoner of moment mentality complex is real. What it does is they have this utilitarian mind. They'll flip on you if there is not no constant sameness nonsense in their way. But they understand how to break us, especially the dudes. The dudes don't understand. You got to stay away from the nonsense. The narrative is the guy's bad, right? It's designed to destroy us, right? But they got to understand that this is going to be a maintainable offense. What's going on? Now, you got females out here playing, oh, they the real deal. I'm going to be the wife material. But in reality, they don't give a damn about you. This is on their bullshit. And they just need to be honest up front with the dudes that you don't like. Just move on. Stop using them for money. That's not what a real woman does. You take care of yourself, be smart, don't ask for money. You got to earn that keep. And I'm just like looking at people like this is the type of stuff that you see. But we see this all the time. But like I said, baseball, a little bit of marriage, if you have kids and you got to have the wives that care. And if they don't care, it's just insane. I just see it all the time, bro. And I'm just like, okay, where we going to do this? But I look at these things and I'm like, okay, we know that marriage is a wash. It's been a wash for years and years. But I'm not dissing marriage like that. I'm dissing the ones that use it as a weapon in financial gain. Now, am I against marriage? Is modern marriage? Yes. The way they structure it, the dudes don't get much. I mean, they're not helping dudes. It's the same old bullshit play. That's why dudes are not getting married. They're not falling for it. They know it's a racket because if the Democrats win, they're gonna try to favor the females anyway, and it's dividing people as we speak. If they stop the bullshit and y'all fucking up the money, because I think they trying to penalize these people, and especially if they legalize prostitution, well, they need to get out the game and retire and let the new ones come in so they can get controlled. But here's the thing: women think they have power over free prostitution. They shouldn't, because the man's gonna dictate it all the time, and the problem is Simp's gonna ruin it. I don't think it will never be free. The only way it's gonna be free if you get enough sense to stop begging, and it has to be destroyed in some aspect. It needs to be regulated independently. But if the women ran it, they'll run it to the ground and make demands and shit. And they're not really women, they're just dogs out here just running their mouths. It's ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous. And you see it all the time on the internet, like, on live streams and dumb shit like this. I saw someone's channel just ignorant, but proving my point that this is all done by design. So y'all falling for it. Don't fall for the bullshit. They don't care nothing about you. It's an ego trip. See, everybody's ego tripping right now because they say, "Oh, this is going to be the greatest thing in the world," but it's really not. You're on some bullshit. Let's keep it 1,000. That's all I'm saying. Like, I understand that people understand that content is bullshit. If I was a dude nowadays, don't even think about that shit. It's a racket. Bills and no pussy. Shouts out to Carsino about that. When he said that, it's some truth. You don't want to be in that. Now, I was never married. I ain't trying to think about marriage right now because it's nothing but a racket. Because that's how these bitches get paid. This is how these hoes get, claiming, but in reality, they hate themselves. These people hate themselves. This is what they do. And then you can't just tell me that they don't. They do. That's why people don't like them half of the time. Most of them ain't shit no way. You can get better, quality of them or these so-called women. But the real ones out there, I salute you, be faithful, be honest. That's it. And just don't play this game with these dudes out here. Because y'all don't even like each other. Most of these females don't even like each other like that. Y'all act like they do, but they really don't. They're full of it. They're full of shit half the times. And they do it in a way to see if you're going to fold. I ain't fold to no hoe yet. Not online, not never. Because they be on some bullshit and you see right through it. You got to look at this shit like it's a grain of salt every time. Because what they're trying to do is saying you're the bad guy, but in reality, you're not. It's the bullshit that you got to go through dealing with these females, man. Because they out here lying on dudes all the time. And that's a ploy to destroy us, and that ain't going to happen. It's going to be a hard time for them to do that. That's why hoes are hoes. Stop messing with them. Stop being with them. They're fraudulent. And when they get fraudulent like this, things happen. But I think the main thing about marriages nowadays, and I say it's utilitarian as hell, the laws is somewhat balanced. You start seeing things running through it. You see it in celebrities, former athletes. They deal with these hoes all the time, and they was living their lives, yucking it up, being good. Then you understand why. And it's insane. But I look at this as a lesson that if you think about marriage, choose wisely, be precise, and be mindful of the change during in relationships because people change over time. That's enough on that. We're almost into the hour. We're going to talk about the this super team that LeBron somewhat built. He really hasn't built it because the Celtics done gave Jalen Brown away. This guy had salute to Jalen Brown, his divergence, but it's going to be very interesting on that 16 with LeBron. That's going to be very interesting. The last time Philadelphia won a championship, they had a super team. They were the champs in '83. This is decades ago. I gotta look at their history because I believe they were all stars. Those men in '83 championship. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That shit is surreal. And then you start seeing the things that's going on in nature. What's going on here? Oh, shut up. Okay, my brain is all rattled up. It's almost 3 something. Okay, we'll get into the super team in a minute. Okay, let me charge my computer up. All right. As what I was saying, let me look up something real quick. Let's see here. Let's see. Okay. Yeah, the last time the Sixers won a championship, they were a super team. All right. We're almost to the hour, so let's talk about a little bit of the championship, this fraudulent championship by Adam Silver. Yeah, it was Shots Alcino exposing them. Once again, the Knicks lost the attention. That fan base is done. I'm gonna tell you that right now. They putting on a good fight. Yeah, all ball TV. That's the only ones they are somewhat reasonable and they're fair. But the rest of these Knicks supremacists, like I like to call them in Cino's chat, these casual idiots, they're the reason why their shit ain't what it is. Now the 76ers is what LeBron picked. Before there was actually two teams. Obviously, there's a lot of teams. He wasn't going to neither of those teams like Miami, Minnesota. There was no he's not going there. And he's definitely not going to Believeland, aka Cleveland. I call him Believeland because of the documentary. That's why I got the term Believeland from. Them motherfuckers want to sign Harden and what's name Mitchell. They ain't going to wear the bums. And they didn't beat Detroit like that. No, they had the whistles on their side. And Tom Gore ruined us in game 5 during the playoff game because it's supposed to be Knicks and Pistons. But since he won his own thing in the middle of the playoff game, and they screwed us at the end. So the league went against my Pistons. So I'm pissed about that, but I'm happy now that the Sixers took all the coverage from the Knicks, which is a blessing. Damn sure is a blessing. I'm glad. So it is what it is, man. Like, this is former Syracuse Nationals, aka Sixers now. If you know your history, you know. And that's just what you see. Last time you saw that. And yes, the Sixers had dark age from 92 to 96. Those are dark ages. See some in the present era. Yeah. Philly had their own moments. Boston robberies. Not much on Philly. But Lowlights did a breakdown on the Super Team in 83, the Philadelphia 76ers. They had All-Star Six Man of the Year. They had all that stuff. It's been a minute since I've talked about Philadelphia. I mentioned them. They had a Hall of Famers like Dolph Schayes used to play for the Nationals. He was one. They had Will Chamberlain. They had Al Grill. Billy Cunningham was later. He was up there on there. They had Julius Erving, Moses Malone, Bob McAdoo. Then they had George Yardley. He's another legend. Um, he used to be with the Detroit Pistons, but Yardley also played for the 76ers. Yes, they had Mutombo for his stint. 2001 playoffs. George McKinnis, 30. So it is what it is. And then you got Jack Ramsey, the coaches. You got John Calipari. He's coach that Chuck Daly did for his stint. Larry Brown. Yeah. Chuck Daly used to coach the Sixers. A lot of people didn't know that. Assistant coach. And then they got a founder named Danny Bozian. Jerry Colangelo, he was an executive. Larry Castillo. Earl Lloyd. Yeah, Earl Lloyd out over there. Let's see what we got here. Not much on the history, but yeah, the Sixers are the agenda team for 2026, 2027 season, along with the Lakers. And Sienna's been on point. Oh, what up, Wacky? Salute. But yeah, you got two agenda teams. according to Sino, right? I was watching his live stream. He mentioned this. Was it last month before LeBron got there? Now the NBA, yeah, the Knicks won a championship. A lot of people think it's legitimate. I have some questions about that because Adam Silver, he kind of rigged it for them to win it. Let's just keep it real. Trump, if you look at World Cup, let's break down World Cup. World Cup, I think someone was trying to tell me World Cup, they wanted, now Argentina, they it was obvious. They was pushing them, right? And most people want to see France and different teams to win it, World Cup. The last World Cup, I think I paid attention. It was some different teams. It was some couple of years back. And I think the last time I saw World Cup, I actually watched it when I was in the workplace. It was years ago. I think it was like what? I don't know if it was 2018. I keep forgetting what was it? Yeah, soccer. Yeah, they call it football over there, but it's technically is, but Americans call it soccer, which is crazy. And then when I look at these teams, I'm like, it's usually the same teams every year. Argentina, I think they won one before, and it's been, I mean, it's like every 4 years. It's so weird, right? And I forget the guy they compare to in Argentina. He's kind of like LeBron James. Dude, I didn't care for him. I'm glad he didn't. I I picked Spain to beat him, right? But I didn't think Spain was going to be this good. But Sino said something right. He's been doing it for years and gambling years on the World Cup. And he said, they do this all the time, different players and all that. Okay, cool. But it was in America, right? And if you notice, the NBA Finals was in, Knicks and Spurs. Me personally, I would love to see my Pistons go there, but you know how the league did. They said, all right, fuck it. But we got some adjustments. We got some 2 draft picks. I think Detroit's decent. The East has been better in years. LeBron is not the same player. A lot of people think he's great. Still, he's not. He's lost a step years ago. He's not the same when he once was. Even at Laker champ, he was not the same. No. He destroyed that franchise. And I think Mark Walters, the guy that owned the Dodgers, and I believe he's part of that ownership group with Josh Harris with the Sixers. He owns the Commanders. They both in a group with Magic Johnson. I don't think he owned like multiple teams, but I think Mark Walters on the Lakers, which was smart. He's a billionaire. He reminds me of a tech guy. Now they accuse him with the E-Files. Y'all know what I mean by the E-Files. The guy that's running the country right now. They all in it. So they're accusing Mark Walters, the guy from the Dodgers and the Lakers, with that. And I don't know how true. I'll say a little ledge right there, but I wouldn't be surprised if he's being there. If he's in there, hey, heard it in different sources. I said, damn. But here's the thing about Balmer. I don't think nothing's going to happen to him. I don't believe, because the NBA's been corrupt for years since Alvin Silver. Gambling's gotten way worse. Then you look at the Gill thing. Everybody's got different takes. It's over, technically, and now it's basically like WWE now. LeBron just destroyed the league, and this is what happens when you have a weak ass commissioner. See, David Stern wouldn't allow none of this stuff, or the Knicks winning a championship, because I've heard of magnet balls. I've heard magnet technology. They've been using that since 2021 in practice before. It was a pandemic thing. They was trying to experiment the pandemic. If you pay attention in 2020, the magnet ball didn't get in existence when the Wilson basketball, even though it was made in Chicago, I think Cino pointed out, but he wasn't the only one talked about it. I did my research on it. I said, God damn. They really try to push gambling, even though they struggle with FanDuel and all them shows getting canceled. And you see Ryan Clark, all those people getting fired. NFL saw that. They said, no, we're going to make a new change, trying to bring it back to the good old days. But that's going to backfire because no one watches TV no more. They got apps now. They got yeah, all that shit. It's over for them. But basically, I'm trying to say is, sports has been corrupt for a long time in different variations, but this magnet system technology, AI technology, I think we talked about this in 2021. I was going to say that to Carcino's channel, and I said, dude, it's been way worse. And you're right, man. Like, it's a damn shame that I won't be surprised if teams win. Now, they're trying to push Philly so bad. The league is trying to push Philly to go to the finals. Me personally, we're going to talk about the injuries with Embiid and LeBron being 40. I'm gonna break that down and tell you what my thoughts are. I mean, Cino had a good breakdown. We all seen those guys get injured. Even Jaylen Brown. That trade, to me, I would love to see him go to Detroit, but the league said, no, you're not going to Detroit. We're gonna send you to a rival. And it was a league move, and that new owner of the cell, he's part of another group as well, because these owners that are billionaires, they owning teams for a reason. They're trying to get away from the owners that have family stakes, like the Lakers. You saw what happened to them. Reinsdorf is the majority owner of the Bulls, but I like the Bulls, but the minority group people is helping them with the operations. With technically, I said, damn, see, he gonna end up selling it too somewhere, but he's making money off those TV contracts. All these big market teams, they're struggling to get talent. It's TV marketed, and New York Knicks, Dolan's ass. We already know he's in the E-files too because he's been accused. He tried to deny it and have lawyers, but here's the thing: they won a championship. So it's nothing going to happen to him now. They're gonna say if you participate in some bullshit, you know how the feds are. But the Knicks, I think these players got pissed when they won. Everybody got pissed. Let's just get real. Yeah, some people were okay with it in New York, but the rest of the world, they did not like the Knicks. I'm telling you, what Adam Silver did. Everybody try to say they're pushing women. Yeah, they were pushing women, but they was also pushing the Knicks as a feature in the Eastern Conference. Think about it. The year before that, Tyrese Halliburton, right? That shot, they try to say that's a miracle shot. In my mind, I thought it was too until I saw the evidence. I said, damn, Tyrese, even though he's with Clutch Sports now, it's a shame. But that Achilles injury, if he didn't have that Achilles, they would have won a championship, me personally. OKC, a lot of stud talent, but it was cut short, this year's playoffs. And I wanted them to go to finals face the Knicks. Not going to happen. They was pushing Wemby. And, France was in the World Cup too. This is based on World Cup. So one of the corruption teams won. I hate to say it. The Knicks owner, Dolan, yeah. He did something for the NBA, and I guess he bought that championship. He said, hey, we bought it, we don't care. And one of the Knicks fans on Cino's channel said, we don't care about the corruption. And at least he was honest. But the majority of Knicks fans don't care because they're delusional anyway. But the ones that are honest about it, just be honest. That's all I'm saying. Don't take the moral high ground. And do not be crying that the Sixers, if they try to give this LeBron James a championship, I'm blaming Adam Silver. He wants him to have it. Here's the problem with that. You got an injury-prone player named Embiid. I don't know, and they're not trading Embiid, knowing Josh Harris. I don't trust Josh Harris, the ownership, and he owns the Commanders. I don't trust him a fly shit. I just don't trust him because the Sixers, they may not win a championship, but if they do win it the next year, do not be surprised they get some more pieces. They're going to hurt the young core because of LeBron, right? But my thing is with the Sixers, LeBron they don't really need him. Once Jaylen Brown got traded to the Sixers, right? And yes, they got eliminated in the semifinals. I saw the whole series, but Philly was cut short because of injuries. Cavs were a joke. That should have been our Pistons, but oh well. But the Knicks did what they supposed to do. But me personally, the Knicks championship, if you look at that championship, Anunoby was carrying that team. Brunson didn't do much in all quarters except for the fourth quarters. He was stat padding as usual. And that fifth game, yes, it was somewhat historic, but no one cared. If you notice, they cared about it for let's just say about hours on end, but then they want to talk about where LeBron's going to go, these other teams. And this is ESPN for you, right? They try to feature the Knicks. Now they lost and I said this earlier in the stream, now they lost all national TV coverages because of LeBron and the Sixers, right? Philadelphia's a large market too. Now it's got more larger because they're taking the attention away for the Knicks. And that just says something about the NBA and these casual fans. They just don't like the Knicks. A lot of people say they do, but really y'all don't. No, y'all love LeBron James and they want the same teams. Me personally, it's the Lakers and the Celtics and others that don't fit their agenda. You got a lot of agenda teams. And Bulls is one of them. They used to be. That was with Jordan. That's gone. Now, whoever wins the championship, no matter. And what stops the agenda, I'll tell you a secret, is injuries. So, yes, you can say that I can see the Knicks repeating, but I don't think they're going to repeat because the East is good. So, yes, you got my team, Detroit, but here's the thing. Detroit has to worry about Philadelphia, Indiana, and probably half of the East. I ain't scared of none of those East teams because they haven't shown me nothing. The only team that can stop us is probably Orlando. I don't trust Miami because Giannis is injury prone. I don't even trust that team at all. I give them a couple more years, they'll be all right. Toronto with the investigation with Kawhi, he might get off on that. I don't know. He maybe get punished or not, but not harshly because you got to deal with Ballmer and all that. See, NBA don't know what they want to do. They're focused on the fucking 76ers and LeBron. The East is going to be explosive. The West ain't been good since then. I mean, when Shea won that championship, the West ain't been good. It's only 2 to 3 teams is good. Everybody try to say the West is strong. It's propaganda narrative by ESPN. It's lies. It's been weak for the last couple of years. The last West team that dominated like that in this century was the Warriors. Even though they won in what 2022, and every champion, this goes back to Kawhi Leonard. They ended that era. And Warriors finally won one in 2022, but they didn't repeat. Nobody repeat. So if we get a new champion repeat every year, because it's new apron rules, second apron and all this stuff, it's not looking too good. I blame the players and the owners. They're to blame. But here's the thing. LeBron James, everybody thinks he's going to retire. He's going to probably play a quarter century. I hope not. But if something happens to him and these allegations with the steroids, it's kind of dicey. I know what he's trying to do. He's trying to do what Brady do. But if I was dude, man, you're not even in the city of Philadelphia, and everybody's mad about that. You know, most players have done it before. You got some Knicks players live in Jersey, Philly, some New York, and probably down here where I live at. You know, most NBA players they got multiple houses and shit. You know, the way the league is now, they travel all the time. They don't always stay with their teams. It's weird. This is not the old NBA. You stay in one city and then you have houses. The housing market is bad thanks to who's in the White House. It's just insane. It's just insane that the Sixers, a lot of people said they're not a playoff team. They were a playoff team this year. They wasn't the best team. They were the easiest team to beat. Embiid is just a true liability. It's going to be interesting what LeBron does and Embiid, how that team's going to work. I got to see it for myself this coming regular season. I just don't see the Sixers go to a championship, but if corruption and cheating and referees and the players, well, we just saw 2 years in a row in the playoffs. If I see another team getting carried by the refs and these Magnum system technology, it's proven by other people on YouTube about it. I didn't want to believe it first. I won't be surprised if the Sixers go to the finals. I don't want to see it really, but I will not be surprised. But Jaylen Brown's on the team. So they're going, and I heard Iman Shumpert said it best too. He said they're going to lean towards Jaylen Brown's scoring. Now, LeBron is going to stat pad and try and break that assist record with John Stockton. I don't think he's going to do it. He's just stat padding. But if he does, that means he's going to pad his stats. He's on a 2-year contract. So it's going to be interesting what he's going to do. I don't care for a dude like that, but I'm just saying the Sixers, that's a super team. That super team is just crazy. Yeah, he's ring chasing. And he's doing it all. He's doing all thing. Yeah, if they won the cup. But, Spain won. Thank God Spain won. Spain won shows you soccer's in a good place. If Argentina would have won just like the Knicks, it's crazy. Nobody likes the Knicks like that. I mean, there's people that like them, but we talk about outside of the NBA. Nobody likes the Knicks like that. Let's just keep it real. There's a lot of biased teams that the NBA likes. Yes, they don't like my Pistons. Now, did they like the Pistons at one time? In the 80s, yes. I think Sino mentioned David Stern did. He did a little bit. But when Mike came in and made business, Dick Aerosol, NBC, that kind of ruined it. But even though NBC gave us some great basketball, even though I don't care for Dick Aerosol, he was riding Jordan. Jordan's still a great player. No shot at Jordan. But I'm just saying, but Sino's trying to tell people it's business. Michael Jordan was the business. Even though he lives in Chicago, he knows. He's seen him up close. This dude, they was pushing Jordan in the night. You know why? He had great role players around him. Was he beatable in some aspects? Probably so, but here's the thing. Here's the secret. Mike understood what happened to him against Detroit in the 80s. And he figured everybody's moves. You know what I mean? Because he had to be dominant. You have to remember when Detroit had injuries, and a lot of people said, no, they had injuries. Isaiah broke his wrist in one of those games, I think, in his career, and he said in an interview, he said he wasn't the same player no more. So you know how Michael was dominant. He had to. Mike had to dominate the rest of the night. The Pistons couldn't dominate. They was losing players. They getting traded, and Dennis was losing his mind with the stripper wife, whatever. And he went to San Antonio, I believe. after 93. And I don't remember much him in Detroit, but I remember him wearing that blue jersey. But he was an all-star and everything. Defensive player 2 times in a row. And San Antonio, he made them a winning team. But see, the Spurs was mid in the early 90s. They were a good team, but they were mid. They wasn't a threat in the 90s like that. Dave Robinson was an upgrade for them. He was drafted in what, 87? Their legacy started in the 90s. Now, mid 90s, Dennis Rodman made him look unbelievable. He had his antics, yeah, but he was consistent. But that 96 year, I'll never forget when they got him, even though he used to play for Detroit. That Bulls team, let me tell you something, they were unbeatable. They look unbeatable. They were older, they had experience. Now, has teams had chance to beat them? Yeah, Utah and Seattle, but it wasn't enough, though. Mike was too much. Because once you won 3 in a row before, he was gonna win. And I saw this when I was young. I grew up watching this shit. I lived through that. So 96 from 98, that's crazy. Now he could have won 99 if they didn't have that lockout, thanks to Kevin Garnett's money at the time. That's what started the lockout. It was him, Michael Jordan retiring. I'll never forget that lockout too. And then the Spurs, that's how they won. The Spurs would have won more games if they had time. Think about it. Now, if the Knicks, to be fair, in 99, if the Knicks did not lose Patrick Ewing, right, that Achilles, I would say the Knicks would have beat the Spurs probably 6 or 7 games. Me personally, Patrick Ewing would have gave Robinson hell. But here's the thing about that: the Spurs would have won in 7. We don't know. See, they did it without Patrick Ewing. That's how the Spurs beat the Knicks, and I remember that. And I forgot he was injured with the Achilles. That was years ago. And then they got their rematch. You know, it was that rematch was so orchestrated. They was trying to get Raptors up because of World Cup. Let's just keep it real. Because the first 2 games, was the Spurs young? Absolutely. Yeah, they were a young team. Here's the problem. Here's what happens with a young team with bad execution. I'll break this down to you. The Spurs had bad execution. They was dominating the Knicks in 2 games, even though they lost to the Knicks, right? Knicks had the experience. They've been in playoff games. Yes, they was robbed with the Pacers, right? But you know why. You know why. And Pacers was the agenda team against OKC. When someone was saying, right? True. The Pacers, if you go the year before that, they lost to the Celtics and they won. So you got 2 Eastern Conference teams carried by the agenda. Okay. Now they're pushing Philly. Even though OKC won that one because of injuries, that's what saved them. They didn't want OKC to win. I think most people didn't want OKC to win last year. I didn't either. And I should have went against the rooting for agenda team Pacers. You know, it happens all the time. You know, we all guilty of it. But I said to myself, I said, damn, if Tyrese Halliburton would have won that, man, Indy would have been crazy. But no, OKC got it. I thought OKC was going to repeat too, like everybody else. And then I knew it was going to be San Antonio because Wemby, they're trying to push him as a superstar. And Anthony Edwards should never said this in the interview. He said, oh, that's what they got Wemby for. You know, he's from Atlanta. I said, nigga, there you go. And then you wonder why who's the richest player in the NBA is. He's on the Pistons. That shoe deal, endorsements, a lot of people don't know that. He's the richest player. He's probably the 5th richest American player in the NBA right now. It's richer than most of these players. And this is a fact. You can look it up. And he's first all NBA too. And Durant wants to be a fool. His agent trying to tell him, well, he needs to be traded to a better team. No, Durant, you need to say you're a restricted free agent. Keep your ass in Detroit or shut up. Hell, y'all might go to the finals this year. The way Philly and the way the East is going, because Brunson's going to get that money. Let me tell you something. Jalen Brunson will get that money. We call him Brunson over there on Cino's channel. Brunson's going to get that money. Cat wants his money because everybody's not caring about that second apron shit. Adam Silver better forget that. You know, everybody's going to get paid. These pay cuts is hurting certain players. It's not good. And I want to see some dominance of somebody. If we don't get it next year, it's not looking too good. You know what I mean? I won't be surprised if Philadelphia wins this coming up next year. I don't want to see it, but I can't get mad because, you know, the Knicks better repeat. If they don't repeat, if the Knicks don't repeat, and the media's trying to make y'all Knicks fans irrelevant. I'm just speaking you Knicks Spurs casuals out there. I'm talking to y'all. Y'all skywatch this later. If y'all don't win this coming up next year or this in-season tournament, because here's the thing. Look out for in-season tournament. Who's going to be the favorites to win? If Philadelphia wins the in-season tournament and they found some way to the championship and they saw what the Knicks did, it's not right. It's not right. That in-season tournament ruined the NBA. I'm just going to keep it real because you're crowning champions. But it's insane. You know what I'm saying? Like, I know the Pistons might not win the in-season tournament, but if they do, they have to fight against this. Because remember, Detroit Pistons will never be an agenda. A lot of people think they are, but they're not. You know, last time they were, you could say 80s, whatever, but 2004, no. That nobody thought they can win that. That Lakers team was great. And Lindsey Hunter was a former teammate of Shaquille O'Neal's and Kobe Bryant's team back in 2002. He was on that team. Lindsey Hunter used to play for the Pistons back in the 90s, and a lot of people forget that. He was on Woodward Sports talking about it. He said, nobody believed in that team. Nobody believed in that team. And they won. They won. And I got to say, that 2004 team, yeah, and Rasheed Wallace broke it down. He said, they didn't want him to repeat. It was on the podcast. He said, they didn't want us to repeat. You know, David Stern, right? They did not want him to repeat because it would look bad for the league, but technically it would be good for the league, but it would look bad for them because they wanted the League of Nations. He called them the United Nations, talking about the Spurs. They like foreign players, right? Like you see now with Wemby. Now, if Wemby would have beat the Knicks, it would have been historic. But the league had to rig it for the Knicks to win it because the Knicks, you know how bad would the Knicks would have lost that? We'd be talking shit about them right now. But that championship is weird because the Knicks fans are victims of this agenda. They're pushing the Lakers and the Sixers in the finals. Now, the Lakers, they call them Sultan Lakers. I don't believe they'll go to the finals. The Lakers, me personally, the West is kind of interesting. I don't think it's stacked like people think. No, anybody can come out the West. It's only two good teams. It's really OKC and San Antonio. But outside of that, maybe it ain't Denver. Denver done took a step back. They're declining. It's really, I could say Dallas. I could say Dallas, Houston. The dark horse is going to be Phoenix. Lakers is somewhere up there. I say, like, for right now, I say Lakers is the third seed at best. If they do better without LeBron James, if they get the second seed, I can see what the league is doing. They're letting Luka's not all that either. He plays like Harden. But here's a secret. If he's disciplined and what he learned from Kyrie, I can see him going to the finals. But they really want Kyrie Irving in a trade. That's all. See, everybody wants Kyrie. It could be the Lakers. It could be the Pistons. He can go anywhere. But Steph Curry, he's tripping about the Golden State because they didn't get LeBron. I told you, LeBron would have went to Golden State if Jaylen Brown would have went anywhere else or Portland. But no, Philly got him. And you know why? Brown said some stuff about the media. Now, I salute Jaylen Brown. Salute to Jaylen Brown for what he said about it. And he said Boston ain't shit. Boston is not the favorites next year. So Tatum and them, they're not going to win the championship next year. They're just not. No. The East is balanced. You got everybody going to be in it. Washington's brand new because they took the anti-tanking rules, right? So this is going to be interesting. In-season tournament, anti-tanking, and now you got to look at what team is going to be the favorites. But we already know Philadelphia is the agenda they're pushing for the championship. Probably in season and probably the playoffs. Because that's where Adam Silver kind of won it because LeBron's on there now. He's always the agenda king. Even before they got LeBron, they was already the favorites to win the East anyway, to probably lose to the Lakers or whoever in the West. I agree. But adding LeBron they're in win now mode. So they got, what's this, the Le'Veon Philon kid, right? They drafted, I saw the draft. And they already got Edgecombe third overall pick the year before that. You know, this past last year. But it's insane, bro. It's insane. The Sixers is very interesting. I'm gonna watch them. I'm gonna watch the bullshit. I want to watch the train wreck, who they play against. But Detroit's got something for their ass. We're gonna exploit that. If Duran gets his act together, we may end up trading. We may get some pieces. Detroit's not done. Trajan is doing his thing. It's gonna be interesting. But the other teams, they improved. I gotta see how they are. I gotta watch the league too. And probably got to watch the Hawks. They did good in getting Lou Dort. See, OKC ain't a dynasty no more. Wemby exposed that. So now they got a big man from Michigan, Mara. That's gonna be interesting. The West is gonna be interesting. I don't think they're a strong conference. No, they're weak now because what LeBron does to conferences that were strong, he makes them weaker. Now he's trying to make the East weaker again. I don't think he's gonna make them weaker because he's old. He's not the same player no more. And Laker fans are happy that he's gone. Salute to the real Laker fans. I don't care if you're Kobe, Magic, or all the era Lakers, the diehard all-time Laker fans that's consistent and watch the game and love their Lakers. I respect y'all. Not these frauds with LeBron fans because they divide fan bases. You see that in Philly. Now he doesn't want to live in Philly. He lives in New York, which is crazy. That's insane, bro. And he can't get away with that shit in Philadelphia. They know everything about you, so it's gonna be interesting, man. But yeah, man, it's been a long time. Salute to the wacky world of all, the legendary itself over in these spaces, and then you got APTV. Salute to y'all. Go subscribe to their channels. Shouts out to Khalil and everybody. Shouts out to everybody, and she we here. So yeah, we talked about a lot today. I just want to cover little basketball, little stuff going on because I've been watching Woodward Sports in Detroit, and it's very interesting to talk about. And a lot of these free agency NBA is just insane. The biggest one was the Jaylen Brown one. Then LeBron, he just broke the internet. This motherfucker. I cannot say I don't know who's worse, him or Trump. I think he's worse than Trump because they had the same tendencies. It's just I'll explain about his stat pattern probably next month. Not the next Wednesday, but the Wednesday. We're going to discuss about why the Sixers and everybody's being delusional about them right now. It's just insane, bro. I just got to see it. Me personally, I just don't want them to go to the finals like that. That's just, everybody's panicking. I'm not panicking. I'm happy. Anybody can knock off the Sixers the first year. But that second year, they're going to try to push it for the second year. If they don't get the agenda this year, they're going to push it next year with the Lakers and the Sixers. I promise you this. They're going to try. And if they fail, like I said, I won't say if they fail, watch LeBron retire, probably somewhere not in Cleveland somewhere. It could be anywhere. Probably go to Golden State some weird way. We'll see. We'll see. Shalom to people of Israel, to the Gentiles. Until next time. And I'll see y'all in the Wednesday after.